Welcome to Quit to Win, the show where we explore the moments people had to let go of destructive pattern, limiting identity, and the internal battle to rebuild their life with purpose and clarity. Our three guests is Jesse Blount, but everybody call him Skoob. Scooby. He is the host of the Undiscovered Entrepreneurs. Get Across the Start Live podcast, a sales and marketing veteran of nearly 2 decades and a specialist in helping new entrepreneurs overcome the four hurdles and stop them before they begin. Imposter syndrome, perfectionism, failure, and fear. Our first evidence appearing real, which is the acronym for fear. Yeah, he started his entrepreneurship journey during the pandemic with no money, no equipment, not even a computer. His GoFundMe raised a couple $100, started the podcast anyway. And now, nearly 5 years later, he has interviewed hundreds of entrepreneurs and turned everything he has learned into a mission to give new starter the one thing nobody gave him, someone who will take them seriously from that day one. The defining moments, what made staying no longer an option in this world. He finally woke up to the fact that nothing happened unless you get across the started line. It's really a pleasure and honor to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is going to be a real treat. I thank you so much. It's a complete honor.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So you decided to start a karaoke or DJ business during the global pandemic with no money, no equipment, no computer. Most people wouldn't have taken that as a sign to wait. What did you have to quit listening to? Other people's opinion, your own doubt, the noise. It's not time or to see the pandemic as a perfect moment. How did you get started and what did you get to quit before you get started?
Yeah, I had to quit listening to people saying that's a horrible idea. And, to the person that's out there looking in, I would probably have to agree with them, but they weren't in here where I was, right? So like my thinking was, okay, by the time I get all my equipment together, by the time I get everything done and ready to go, the pandemic will be over and I can be one of the first people in line to get back into the public. People are going to rehire all the public people and it's going to be great. What I didn't know is the pandemic was going to last 3 years. So I like, okay, so I didn't have a computer. I didn't have anything. So I figured I could start a GoFundMe page and people will just give me money so I can get started. But obviously that didn't work. I'm going to make a couple $100 and I'm sure that was my mom saying, hey, here's a couple dollars, son, because I want you to succeed. That's what mom do. So instead of throwing my hands up and saying, this isn't for me, right? This is not meant to be. I had to change my thinking. I had to change my perception of the failure. So instead of saying it's not for me, I thought about why did it not fail? Or why did it fail? Why did it not work for me? And how can I succeed on my next one? So I started digging into crowdfunding. I started listening to books. I listen to my books. I don't read my books because reading books puts me to sleep. I listen to my books. So I listened to podcasts. I listened to books. And the thing that kept coming up over and over again was to start a podcast for people to follow you and understand what you're trying to accomplish and then start the crowdfund because then people understand who you are. You can't ask for marriage on the first date. You need to be able to, people need to realize who you are, right? So I was like, I could start a podcast. That's great. So how do I do that? So I started researching that and I started to realize that there's a really, really low barrier for podcasts now. It's not like it used to be where you had to have, this extensive computer knowledge and understand code. And like my brain explodes when I even think about what code is. So now we could just do it with our phone and an earbud, right? Now we're obviously doing a little bit more than that here.
Yeah.
That's how low the barrier of entry was. So who do I want to talk to? Who would want to be on my podcast? Well, I'm a new entrepreneur just getting started. Why don't I talk to other entrepreneurs that are just getting started and get their stories and accomplishments and goals and understand what they're going through? And we can all get together as a community and help each other generally start a business. So after doing that for a couple of years, I was like, okay, there's something that keeps coming up over and over and over again in all my interviews. These four main things, and they're always imposter syndrome, perfectionism, failure, and fear. So I started deep diving into those to understand, why we're going through these things as new entrepreneurs. So that's kind of how I got started. That's why I got started. And I think the biggest takeaway is I started something. It wasn't even podcasting. I didn't even start with podcasting. I started being a karaoke DJ and a music DJ and ended up a podcaster. So even if you don't finish where you start, you at least started. That's the most important part. It's the universe will not reward you for not starting. Once you
Yeah.
start, things will come together one way, shape, or form. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is really amazing. Even if you didn't start it, even you are not where you actually get to start it. It's really amazing owing to the fact that, yeah, a whole lot of things could actually come up, but all of them depends on the fact that you get started and you have different perspective. You learn over time. You see different way of engaging that particular, yeah, same energy of starting it. You see better way of doing it, and from there you migrate to the other. And at the end of the day, looking back, you now have more like a whole lot of lovely stories of various experience, owing to the fact that you get started even before you actually have it all figured out. So you turn a failed crowdfunding attempt into a podcast, and a podcast into a mission. What does impulsive action in the right direction look like versus recklessness?
Well, that gets into a lot of my hurdles because what I've done now, especially recently over the last year or so,
Yeah.
is I started to realize that when you come across any of the hurdles, it's actually a point in a direction. If you fear it, you need to do it, right? Because, on the other side
Yeah.
of that fear is going to be something amazing, something that you're
Yeah.
meant to do. And the universe is basically testing you to see if you're worthy of
Yeah.
whatever is coming up next. But the way they test you is through fear, through the hurdles of stop. Because if you're feeling imposter syndrome, that means you're going the right way. If you're feeling perfectionism, that means something's going on there that you need to address. And then once you address it, you're going to be heading the right direction. But more than anything else, if you fear it, then you need to head that way towards it, not run away from it. I was scared of the technology. I was scared of even just putting my voice out into the universe for people to hear. Are people even going to listen to me? Probably not at first because nobody even knows who I am yet. But I just did it anyway. I literally, my first conversation that I had online ever in my life was a conversation with my son, and we recorded it like a podcast. I asked him how his first day at work was. That was the first question I ever asked anybody online that I was recording. Very bare bones, basic way to start. But once again, it was a start. I started somewhere. And then analyzing that, using that as a template to learn how to edit my podcast through the free versions of editing they have out there, just to see if it would work, just to see if I could actually accomplish it. And I did. And that's all because I got started. I felt that fear. Pressure. It was like an elephant sitting on my chest. The fear was there, but I did it anyway. And now, 5 years later and over 270 episodes, I'm still here talking to people.
Yeah, this is really amazing. Having to go look like the 4 factors, which is, yeah, the imposter syndrome or the fears. And your goal is to walk towards it and not to walk away from it. And just the way you said it was more like fear, and when those things come into being, it should be a clue that, yeah, you have something important to do there other than running away from it. And that idea is quite scary. Wait to the fact that there's a whole level of energy that comes with having fear and everything, and a whole lot of things and underneath it. Yeah, it's really a whole lot. And also your mantra is I can, I am, I will, I'm doing it today. Most people live in I will someday. And what do you have to quit substituting for today? Planning, the researching, the preparing, and waiting for more confidence before starting.
Well, that goes into a lot of perfection. We wait for the perfect time, so we have to quit waiting for the perfect time and make a move. So, and let me tell you a little bit about that saying, because my son, when he was 6 years old, he said that to me. I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. He was having a rough time with his homework, and I was in the room with them, and I was like, what's going on, son? Dad, I'm having a rough time with my homework. And I said, well, what's going on? Oh, it's okay. I'll get it. I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. He just said it right out of the blue.
Yeah.
I have no idea where he got it from. I mean, he was too young. We didn't want him watching YouTube yet. It was too young, And it's like, wow, that is so powerful. I mean, from then on until he graduated high school, that was our family motto. I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. And today I take that into my podcast as my mantra. Because now other people need to understand that I can means I can do it. I will means I will do it. And today means I'll do it today. And that's the most important out of all of those words. Doing it today, doing it now while we're thinking about it. Because if you wait until tomorrow, you're probably going to forget about it. And if you start forgetting about it, you're going to lose opportunities. You're going to lose the idea that you have is going to fade within minutes. I can't talk about how many times I had this brilliant idea, and then 2 seconds later, it's gone.
Yeah.
Right? if you don't write it down somewhere, put it in your phone or something like that, it's going to go away. And then the universe is going to find somebody else to do it. That's the worst part too. When you have this fantastic idea and you don't act on it right away, the universe is going to say, okay, this guy doesn't want to do it. I'll give it to somebody else that actually wants to do it. And then a couple months later, you see this huge ad on TV or something like that. It's like, that's my idea from a couple months ago. And it's gone now. Somebody else has got it because the universe gave it to somebody else that took action. So that's why we take action right away. We get across the start line now.
Yeah, amazing. Gets along the line right now. And that's really amazing. Yeah, I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. It's such a powerful, more like an idea. Other than seeing the various way you can have it done, you're already more like saying that I don't no matter what it might cost, I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to do it. And it's really, really empowering. And also, you have said that the hurdles are not in the way; they are the way. What did you have to quit believing about obstacles before you could reframe them as the path rather than the problem?
Well, the funny thing is about that is about a year or so into my podcasting, I was having a really bad bout with imposter syndrome. And I mean, bad, like to the point where I wanted to quit my podcast. And I had to understand, I didn't understand what I know now is that was meaning I was heading the right direction. It was showing me the way. The imposter syndrome was showing me the right way to go. Because once I got over that about of imposter syndrome, I took off. I'm gone another 4 years on top of that. Talked to many famous people on my podcast and getting over 1,000 some odd downloads a month now. But if I ran away from that imposter syndrome, none of this would have ever happened, right? So I realize that the 4 hurdles of stop aren't actually something that we need to shy away from. We need to head right towards it. If we fear it, we need to do it. If we are feeling the imposter syndrome and sitting on our chest like the elephant, like I was talking about earlier, that means we need to do it. So the hurdles aren't in our way. These are not things that are blocking us. These are the hurdles we need to get over so they could point us in the correct direction. So they are the way.
Amazing. And the moment you just said this, I just remember a particular book. The title is Obstacle is the Way. And I think the first time I saw that book, Obstacle is the Way, I'm like, how could obstacle be the way? Like, that should be the problem. Why should it have to be the way I get to think about it, and you just hear you just shows the fact that sometimes the problem that we're actually more like thinking is the problem that's hindering us is what we actually need to face squarely and to actually become everything that we want to become. Because everything we want to become is at the other side of it. Other than seeing it as a problem, as scaring away from it, we have to be seeing it as an opportunity towards becoming that version on the other side of it. And it's really amazing way of looking at things. And the fact that such a reframing change our perception, how we look at problem and obstacle. And rather than seeing it as problem, just like everybody does, we see it as opportunity that's going to be a lovely ride. And it's really amazing reframing what we call it. And also, you help entrepreneurs find their zone of genius or the things that put them in the flow state and build a business around it. What did you have to quit building around before you find your own zone of genius?
So a lot of what you need to quit doing is taking, let's see, how can I phrase this here? Let's phrase it. A lot of the stuff that we are taught growing up in schools and things like that is for us to work 9 to 5 and just, deal with the job that we're handed. But when you're an entrepreneur, you don't want to do that. Instead, we unlearn that and learn what our zone of genius is. So we need to stop listening to and quit listening to the things we've learned that are old now. I mean, we're not to give away a time or anything, but we're in 2026. This isn't 1980, 1990 anymore when I grew up. Way back, right? So the whole thing is different now. So we have to unlearn what we've learned back then and quit listening to that and listen to what our hearts, listen to our heads and understand where we can work at our best and not just at our best, but something that we love to do, something that we love so much that we would be willing to do it for free, and getting paid is like a bonus.
Yeah.
Like, I get to do something I love and get paid for it. Wow. Doesn't get much better than that. But you need to find what your zone of genius is first, and understand what your zone of genius is and how you could construct a service or a product from that zone of genius,
Yeah.
and then take it from there.
Yeah, looking inward, knowing what your zone of genius is, and crafting a product that. Yeah, this is really amazing. Being that the flow is ensured, and the fact that it's something that comes easier to you. And this is really amazing. And thank you so much for doing what you do. Now, you talk about imposter syndrome, one of the most universal hurdles. What did you have to quit comparing yourself to before you could actually show up as your authentic self?
To other people that were further along than I was. And that comes a lot of, social medias do that, where basically they just show us the good stuff, the highlight reels, but it doesn't really show you the stuff that they go through to get there, right? So all you see is the good stuff. So then you start comparing yourselves to these other people that are successful. When I first got started, my guy was Pat Flynn. Pat Flynn was the guy that I followed the most. He's the one that actually taught me how to podcast. Just through his free content, I learned how to podcast. So I wanted to be like him. But as I went along, I realized that Pat Flynn's adventure, everything that he's done up to this point, is going to be completely different than mine, because his experiences are different. His story is different than mine. So how am I supposed to have, a similar situation to get to where he's at? No, I need to follow my path and with my story, and get people to understand who I am as a person, my authentic self. If you could find your authentic self in that, people will start following you for who you are. They'll follow you for Skoob. They'll follow you for who you are, and not for me pretending to be somebody else. If you're actually pretending to be somebody else, there's nobody that's going to follow you. There's nobody that's going to be authentic, nobody that's going to be real. And if they follow you, there's something else going on there. But you want people to follow you for who you are.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, staying true to your authentic self, and the fact that having to learn from someone and seeing that, coach, that's not me at all. I have to carve who I am actually out of here, other than just copying everything. That really got me. It just shows that, yeah, you can learn from everyone around you. But at the end of the day, it's more like learning how to speak from everyone around you. But at the end of the day, learn to speak with your voice after learning. And it's really amazing way of looking at things. And also, you started podcast to find an audience for a crowd found out, and discover along the way that helping others, new entrepreneurs, was actually the mission. What did you have to quit being attached to? The original plan, the original goals, and before the purpose could surface.
So I had to let go of the idea, temporarily let go of the idea of being a karaoke DJ and a music DJ, because that wasn't going to happen. Not at that moment, not yet. But I have not given up on that dream. I will be doing it, but I have to get through this first. When I started podcasting and talking to new entrepreneurs, I realized that I was in my zone of genius when I was talking to new entrepreneurs, when I was getting interviews, when I was talking to these people and understanding who they are and what they're doing and why they're doing it. I love doing it so much. I didn't want to stop doing it. So I just kept going. And I realized that not only am I my zone of genius when I'm talking to new entrepreneurs, but this is going to sound weird, but also editing my podcasts. I love editing podcasts, right? Most podcasters hate editing. Okay. It's like the biggest drag in the world. But for some reason, don't know why, when I'm in there and I'm editing it and making it look good and putting a product out there that people are going to listen to, it just brings me so much joy. When it's done, I'm proud of what I've accomplished and what I've made for other people to listen to. So I really get in there and do the best job that I can, because I love doing it. Like, for example, like a job that would take 2 hours, in my mind, feels like I only spent 10 minutes on it.
Yeah, so true.
And that's when you know you're in your zone of genius. You're in that zone, right? Just like Michael Jordan or anybody else in the sports industry talks about being in the zone. That's when you know in the zone, is when your perception of time shifts to, even though you're working 2 hours in here, it feels like you've only been working 10 minutes because you love doing it so much.
Yeah, when your perception of time change. Yeah, this is really very intriguing. And I think the moment you just mention it, I just have to look back and say, oh, I actually like editing my episode. And I think I was talking to some of my friends the other day that I edit my episode and I like it. And they were like, how did you get to do everything alongside running your business? Being that I only do podcasting 2 times in the weekend. After that, I own more like a cleaning company where more like we could do industrial cleaning. And I was like, I actually like it. Like, in fact, I edit all my episode and not just editing and using tools. I listen to every single line. And for me, it's quite very lovely. I'm like, "Oh, I like the sound of that voice. I think I get it right here. I'm making that get and it has really been amazing. And you just make references. I'm like, oh, is this something there that I'm not taking notes of? And it's really, really lovely. And thank you so much for sharing. And also for inspiring our entrepreneurs who are listening right now, who have been thinking about starting for a month or a year now. What is the first thing you think they need, or first thing they need to quit believing to actually get started?
Stop listening to the naysayers. Stop listening to the people that say you can't, because I mean, if you did that, you would never do anything. There's going to be people that have their advice. There's going to be people that have their opinion about things. That's going to be normal. That's going to happen no matter what you do, right? No matter what job you do, everybody has an opinion about something. But it's what you do with that information, whether good or bad, is what makes you who you are, and which makes you a good entrepreneur or a bad entrepreneur. You need to know that this information I could actually use towards something. This negative information, it's not that important. They have their opinion about it. Okay, whatever. We could quit listening to that and start listening to what is actually going to serve us as entrepreneurs. That's the stuff you want to listen to. So it's really important to understand that naysayers are not going to excel you in what you're doing. Do what you feel is right. Do what you feel in your gut is going to be helpful. And that's going to propel you to where you need to be as a new entrepreneur.
Naysayer are not going to help you. Do that thing. You have to actually make repertoire that speak volumes other than listening to those. It's really, really amazing and very lovely way of looking at it. And also, you have actually said that perfectionism is one of the 4 hurdles that stop people before they begin. What does someone have to quit waiting for? The perfect product, the perfect brand, the perfect moment before they could actually more like go all out and get started.
Quit thinking there's such a thing as the perfect time. Right? There's no such thing. I don't think I have one day on my calendar that says the perfect day, right? So what we need to do is put something out there now. Put it out there today. Get real feedback from what you're putting out there. If you keep tweaking something and shifting something and, crossing your T's and dotting your lowercase J's, who are you really making that for? Are you making it for the people? No, you're making it for yourself and you just think it's good. It's good for you. But who is it going to be for? It's going to be for the people out there. So we need to get that feedback from the people out there, what they like, what they don't like, what they need to understand, what they don't need, right? Once we start getting that information, now we're starting to make something that people might want. But until you put something out there, all you're doing is making something for yourself.
Until you put something out there, all you're doing is just doing something for yourself and quit perfectionism. Get started out. You don't know what to hold on to you get started. And there will never be a time where you be perfectly fit until you actually get starting out there. So lastly, for someone who genuinely believe they are not ready yet, that they need more time, more knowledge, more resources, what will be your final words to them?
Here, get this book. Let's see if I can get it to show it. It's called Lean Learning from Pat Flynn.
Lean Learning,
Okay. So basically what that is you need to learn what you need now. You don't need to learn everything all at once, because all you're going to do is overwhelm yourself with a bunch of information that you don't need. And by the time you get there, you're probably going to need it again anyway, because you're going to forget about it. So if you want to learn about how to podcast, just learn how to podcast. Don't learn how to build it. Don't have to dive deep into learning how to build a team, how to do financing, all this other stuff. No, when the time comes, then you can look up that stuff. But for now, all you need to know is the basics and how to start a podcast. Then how do you monetize a podcast? Okay, now we're going to learn about monetization and things like that. Learn what you need now. Learn what you need to get to the next step today instead of 2 years, 3 years from now, because then you're just going to overwhelm yourself with a bunch of information that is completely irrelevant to what you need to know right now, right?
Amazing.
That would be definitely my advice.
Learn what you need to know now, and as time goes on, You keep learning, I keep learning, I keep on going. And I think the moment you just say that, it just dawned on me that all the investors that actually more like invent a particular product or the others, yeah, most of them were amateurs. They were not professors. They were not, because the professors know what and what wouldn't work. They were amateurs. They only just know A's and B's, and they were like, yeah, I can make something out of these A's and B, not knowing what the other letters is. And as they keep going, they keep learning. And before you know, they put all the puzzles together. They could do something amazing that even the professors we have couldn't believe that anything like that is possible. And it's really, really amazing that, yeah, get started with the little things, and with that particular, what you need to know compared to the holistic stuff of what that thing entails. It gets easier with time when you get started compared to having everything figured out before getting started. And it has really been a pleasure and honor having you on the show. Yeah. So where can listener take your 3-minute assessments and connect with your work?
So if you want to find me, you could find me on all my social medias, all my everything that I've put out there into the universe. You can find at stan.store/Skoob, and that's Skoob. So I don't get in trouble with Warner Brothers, because I call myself Skoob because I do the perfect Scooby Doo voice and laugh, so I can go really well. So
Wow.
I call myself
Yeah.
Skoob. So it's STAN.STORE/SKOOB, and you'll find me there. Now, if you want to understand the 4 hurdles of stuff and which hurdle is actually affecting you the most, like when I said it was imposter syndrome was affecting me the most, I put together an assessment that you can do. It's 3 minutes. It's going to be the best 3 minutes you've ever spent in your life. TUEpodcast.net/quiz will have you'll get into this quiz. You'll take the quiz. It'll show you not only what hurdle that's affecting you the most, but some few first steps that you could actually take to start overcoming it or getting over that hurdle. And then from there on, you could do whatever you want to do with it, but there's always more to it too. So TUEpodcast.net/quiz.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your heart with us on Quit to Win. And for my audience who would love to reach out, just will make reference of the website. Check the show notes to see the link to easily reach out and one of his social media to easily connect. And yeah, thank you so much, Kobe. Thank you. You're a reminder that there is no finish is if there is no start, and that the hurdles are not in the way, but are the way. It's exactly what this audience needed to hear. That obstacle is the way. And share this with someone who has been getting ready to get ready for far too long. And remember, staying behind the start line is never the safe option. Getting across it is. And once again, it's really a pleasure and honor. Have your wishes.
Thank you. Bye-bye.